I can also say that Grace is an incredible person. I've known her since I was on school with her. She has just really shown herself to be an upstanding and ethical person in everything she does. So if anyone else wants to give love to Grace, I feel like that's what we're going to do for the next few seconds.
Anyone else? I mean, I guess I know Grace when she was student secretary, and she's been a fantastic person. And it's my understanding that she's been acting Mr. President since April.
Yeah, so after with this, we were gonna recommend changing.
Disregard.
Oh, I was just saying that, yeah, so that's kind of, Thomas and I have been talking about this because this came up in FMB as well. So after, whether or not Grace is approved tonight, because there's always that possibility to know, we were going to recommend changing that deadline to May 1st instead of November 1st.
That would be valid.
Just so that it makes more sense.
All right. If there's no other points of debate, is there a motion?
I move to close the debate.
Second, all those in favor of closing the debate and moving to a vote? All opposed and abstaining? Great. We are now in voting procedure on the nomination of Grace Criminal. All those in favor of approving Grace's nomination, please raise your hands. All opposed, all abstaining. Great. The nomination is confirmed. You can inform Grace, come back in. Yes. For all our YouTube fans now, the vote was unanimous. Just for the sake of transparency when there's no video. Congratulations, Grace.
Oh, thank you guys so much. Oh, sorry. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you guys. Have a good day. Enjoy Senate.
Well, I almost said YouTube. Great. Moving on from that, we are now in general orders, and I'm going to pass up to Madison or David, whoever wants to speak on these two pieces of legislation.
Well, maybe I'll just start off with SO 212204, which I'd like to withdraw back to committee for further discussion at this time.
Great. I don't think anyone can object to that motion, but cool. No. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to share with the Senate about that withdrawal process?
Sure. So in these election amendments, there are 4 of them. 2 of them were made in another committee. There are essentially 2 buckets of changes. One is to the substance of what is allowed and not allowed in elections, and the other is to the location of where these rules are housed. Right. So 3 of these orders are about the substance of what's allowed in elections. The Electoral Code Amendment, which I just went through, is about the location of where those rules are placed. So I was initially planning to change the location of where they're placed from the Constitution to a separate body of code, and then make the amendments to the substance in that code. Instead, to give more time for past advisors and other stakeholders to give input into the location debate, I'm suggesting that we change the substance first and then the location. So instead, we'll go ahead with these changes to what is allowed and not allowed, how elections work. And then once the Constitution is amended to be optimal, then we'll consider moving the amended election article into its own body of code. I hope that makes sense.
Any points of information or points of inquiry? Moving on then to 212205.
So I guess I'll start by saying, as the chair of the Committee on the Constitution, I would like to withdraw the committee's original recommendations, which were recommendations to amend an electoral code. because that electoral code does not exist. I'm withdrawing that, but it is still able to be voted on as an amendment to the Constitution. And the substance of it still has the full support of the Committee on the Constitution. I don't know if David wants to say anything further.
Sure, yeah, just because, like she said, the switching of that order, the switching of the order between substance and location occurred after the committee already voted. That's why. So the substance was approved, but we're in a different procedural posture now. So I understand from the Senate procedure folks that that endorsement, can't be officially listed on this document.
Then in the spirit of Senate procedure, could you read through 21-2205?
For sure.
Thank you.
In order to amend the Constitution's procedures for allegations and results. Whereas the Constitution, Article 15, Section 1J, was version of the procedure for adjudicating allegations of election misconduct.
I just have the reading.
Is there any objections? Okay, hearing none, it is so ordered. Could you walk us through then what it does?
Sure. So there are essentially 3 changes in this order. First is purely organizational. The Constitution has 2 different lists of how you go about doing allegations, which are almost identical. So this order would take away one of them and then incorporate the 1 or 2 differences into the main list. So that's just an organizational part, which doesn't change substance, just condenses it. The 2 substantive changes are 1, shortening the period of time during which students can file allegations. So allegations are filed up until a little bit after the end of the election cycle. Elections end around 8 p.m. And currently you can file an allegation all the way up until 11:59 p.m. What this has resulted in the past is we plan to release results at midnight, and then somebody sits on an allegation until 11:58, 11:59 p.m., files an allegation, and now we can't release results and everything gets delayed. And so it's a mess. The whereas statement has a bunch of recent elections where this has happened. So what I've proposed here is to shorten the time window to 1 hour after polls close, which if we continue our current practice would be 9 p.m., which is more than So this would standardize the process so that an opinion is released to the public in each case, so that the public knows how the election committee interprets the election rules, only protecting the confidentiality of the people involved by preventing names from being released.
Great. Are there any questions for David on this order?
I'm having trouble accessing the document.
I wonder if that's part
There's
of
a
the.
service issue right now, I think, for like everybody.
Sure.
Because Mo and I are experiencing the same experience that you're experiencing. So, yeah.
Abraham.
Yes, so why restrict the allocation time frame by like an additional 3 hours? Like, was there like justification for that? Was it just an arbitrary decision?
Essentially, an hour is the longest I can probably even longer than I could possibly imagine it taking for somebody to send us an email. So it's, you know, it's the shortest, or sorry, the longest round number, which works.
Yes, McLean.
Also just clarifying, like, if it goes to a hearing and then it's deemed that it wasn't a violation, both names won't be released. If it was both names, or just the person found guilty will be released. So just like the other ones.
Exactly. Yep.
I have a question. I just have a question on procedure. So whenever an allegation is submitted to the judicial council, usually how long does it take for them to like review that allegation, for them to like postpone the release of the names of who won the election?
Yeah, so we're bound to do it within 24 hours. Often it'll be quicker than that if we're trying to expedite it to get a release, a results out, but essentially it's however long it takes to get quorum of the election committee.
Okay, so my follow-up question would be, so why would it matter if an allegation is submitted by 9 versus by 11? If you still have like a full 24 hours to review the allegation?
Because, you know, we'd like to give candidates and voters quick results on the day of the election, right? So around midnight at the latest. Suppose an allegation comes in at 8:59 p.m. and it's, you know, just a meritless allegation designed to delay the process. Within an hour, we can easily, you know, email back the person, say, no, this isn't happening, and we'll know that the results can be released as scheduled. It's at 11:59 p.m. Has happened in a couple of recent election cycles. That doesn't work.
Yes.
With number 2, account for all elections within an election. And being allegation in sophomore class count. I would read that in to say that the results of the senior class count.
Yeah, that's a great question. This is identical to the text that currently exists, just shuffling it around. And I agree that that's a more natural interpretation, but the precedent of judicial council has been only to hold the results of the pertinent election. And I expect that's the precedent that will continue to be followed under the same word.
Do you think it'd be proper to edit that text?
Yeah, I think that definitely be proper. I'd be open to the friendly amendment for that.
What's the text of the friendly amendment?
Yeah, I'm open to hearing it. I mean, that's fine. Fine change by me, so there's wording to that effect.
Yes, Paul. My knowledge is gonna be as great as yours is, considering you were on this body. But like, as someone who went through the election process, I would have found it incredibly annoying if, since they're totally independent things, like an allegation in the senior class council race versus like junior or sophomore, I would have found it incredibly annoying if my results were delayed as a result of that. Considering there was nothing, and maybe there's going to be an off chance where something is involved, but I just don't see that happening based on like how it works. So I'm putting in my input. I would have been so upset if that was.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, that's how we currently interpret it, is that only the pertinent election would be factored.
Okay. Other questions? Slash. Text of a friendly amendment.
You have a suggestion, dude?
Is that pertinent? Between
That's
no
the
and
word I was.
no pertinent election result may be released in public water, you know, I would be comfortable with that. Would you be comfortable with that?
Solid.
Or just the election that has attended.
Right, let's see, so no election result, while any allegation or appeal related to that election.
Yeah.
Word count.
Word. It's fine, whatever this is there. Remind me of the procedure for friendly amendments.
As long as David agrees and approves of it.
There you go. So the change that has occurred, I'm waiting on it to occur. Oh, no, it isn't there. Related to that election has been inserted. Anyway, any other questions related to this order now as amended? Yes, Christian. Is there a second? All those in favor? All opposed and abstaining? Great, we're now in debate. Points of debate. Matt.
I'll speak as a Senate or a senator on ComCon. I'm actually one of two members of ComCon who headed up a subcommittee that's been working on these election reform orders. So I know he said that they pulled the whole approval of committee thing off their procedural side. I just wanted to give a stance of approval on the substance of this. So we do approve of these changes.
Other points of debate? Okay.
Motion and debate. Go to vote.
Second. All in favor? All opposed? All abstaining? Fantastic. We're now in voting procedure. All those in favor of the passage of 21-2205, please raise your hand. All opposed? Any abstentions? Great. It is so passed. Congratulations, David. Great, and unless there's anything else that ends general orders, and we can move right into new business. We have a statement coming up, 21-2205. Annika, if you want to just give a quick rundown of what this does.
So this is a resolution that we've been working on in the Department of Sustainability, which basically calls Notre Dame to divest from fossil fuels as part of their larger towards a more sustainable, a just transition towards a more sustainable future. We noticed in the department that that was a big part that was left out of Notre Dame's plan thus far, but is definitely something that we think is important, not only as we work towards sustainability, but also as a cabinet institution. We should have a commitment to supporting divestment from fossil fuels and overall care for creation, like that. So that will be coming up next week. I would encourage you all to read through the resolution before we talk about it next week. There's a lot to look at and think about. Also, question?
Sure.
Okay, there's also a petition that's going around related to this issue as well, just to kind of get more of the general student body involved. It should have been announced at hall councils last night. Otherwise, your hall president or other people should have, there's like a slide that has the QR code. So if you need access to that, you can come to me or Veronica also. So if you want to help spread that around to kind of gauge the general student support for this issue as well, that would be awesome.
Any questions, points of inquiry? Okay, hearing none, that will come up in general orders next week. Also, I received a resolution from Danny about giving transfer housing. It wasn't quite formatting wise to where we wanted it tonight, but I don't know, Danny, if you want to talk about that or your work.
Yeah, sure. So we met over the break to kind of get this resolution ready. We had to go over a few other things there, and that's why it's not in the agenda today. But yeah, we'll be ready to present it either, it'll be the week after next week or next week.
As we've talked about it in new business, I'm of the mind that it could come forward to general orders unless there's a big procedural question from either the parliamentarian. Mo.
Fine with me.
Cool. Any questions, points of inquiry there? You want to sign on as a co-sponsor? I'm sure Dan would be amenable to that. Any other new business that we should be aware of that we're working on? Or that you want help on? Cool. Without any of those, we'll move right into announcements then. I don't know if Kate is coming tonight. I usually start with her, but any announcements? Oh, Alan.
I was gonna do kids announcement, kids. But sub concert tomorrow, I think it's sold out, so it's a terrible announcement to make. But if you have tickets, you should totally go.
Cool. Veronica.
I'll shut up after this week, but P-Dub's Closet this Friday, 2 to 5. Come get fun clothes or a Halloween costume. There's some good donations.
Okay, solid.
Thank you to everyone who woke up bright and early to support the class by buying like apple cider at 8 in the morning. We sold a good amount of cider and like it's, well, let me explain. I feel like no one went here. We sold that came out really insulting. I'm so sorry. Let me just reset the note. So earlier this morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. class council sold candy grams and sold apple cider. It's to support it's the South Bend homeless center for the homeless. And so we sold a good amount, but we have leftovers. So sort of keep your ears open for like an update. I think we're gonna do it again next week.
Okay.
So Friday afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Fieldhouse Mall, so just right over there. Fisher Hall is hosting our annual car smash. It didn't happen last year because of COVID, but basically you come out, you give us a couple of dollars, and you get 3 swings with a sledgehammer on a car. So we'll be right outside there from 3 to 6. Encourage residents to come. It all goes to St. Adalbert School. So a really good cause and a nice stress relief.
Yes.
I got a question. So if you would get something off the cart, do you take it back and break a piece off the cart?
Oh, that wasn't the flyer. I've never been to one because I'm only a sophomore, but that is in the flyer. So I think the answer is yes.
Okay, how big are we talking? Like, we gotta decorate the room or something.
Yeah.
I don't have any door handles on my door in the alumni. So I gotta get something hard on.
Other announcements. Alan.
Okay, sub announcements. Fall festival this Friday from 8 to 11 on Library Lawn. There's food trucks, inflatable thingy that you jump on. Hot chocolate, pumpkin painting. So, Halloween stuff. Then there is a showing of Get Out, one of the greatest movies on this earth, this Friday and Sunday. And it's with conjunction with the Black Cultural Arts Council. And if you got tickets to the sub concert, the one that I brutally advertised, you'll get a reminder email tonight with additional information. That's all.
Thank you. Any last announcements?
Welsham has the road out next on South Quad, I believe, Wednesday, 6 to 8 or 5 to 7. I can double check. But yeah, everyone should go on South Quad.
Thanks. And is there anyone on Zoom who wants announcements or I don't know, maybe?
Sorry. Off-campus housing fair, for those looking to move off campus for years, November 10th, in the upstairs part of, not upstairs, but like the second floor of Duncan, above the LCD screen, during lunch hours, 11 to 1. Stop on by, should have some sort of, maybe a snack. Come meet, not rectors, but landlords. The second floor film.
Yes.
Sorry to follow up, but it is on the 4th Wednesday from 5 to 7 by the flagpole. There will be a mechanical bull. General admission is $5, $3 to ride the mechanical bull, and all proceeds benefit Sister Marian.
Abraham.
Anyone that's interested in the constitutional law stuff, tomorrow at the McCartan courthouse in the law school from 4 to 5:15. There's going to be a lecture on the Reconstruction Amendments by Professor Laura Edward from Princeton University. So if anyone's interested, definitely call.
Is there a motion? Yes.
Second.
All those in favor? All opposed?